All right, here we're back, episode 2 with Ezra Regan and Justin Simmaro. Special guest, Doc Rishi. Thanks for coming in, Doc.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What is your full name?
Like middle name and everything?
Well, no, just
Yeah, Rishi, Menon.
Rishi?
Yeah, either one, Rishi or Rishi.
Rishi.
They're both, yeah, Menon.
Well, I'd prefer to say it right.
Honestly, I don't even say it right, man. When I go to
Oh,
India,
yeah?
yeah, like it's a little bit of a sound that I can't quite make.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Can you try so I can
Rishi.
hear it? Huh?
Rishi.
Oh,
Rishi.
Yeah, there's like an H in there. It's crazy,
Rishi,
man. Yeah.
I always call you Dr. Rishi.
That's perfect.
Everyone
man.
knows you here as Dr. Rishi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you want to pronounce your name again?
Justin Simmaro.
Simmaro.
It's like tomorrow, but Simmaro.
No rolled R this time.
Nah,
no.
you can keep the R off, yeah. Say it like a fucking California boy.
Yeah, so, Doc, why don't we start with you? Give us a little information on your background and what you do in the medical field.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me on the show. I'm really grateful to be here and, participating in this.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you here.
Yeah, man. So I grew up in St. Louis, just kind of like in the suburbs there. My parents immigrated over from India in the 70s, and pretty normal childhood out there. Went to school in Kansas City, did a little bit of training in New Mexico for medicine, and then I came back to St. Louis to finish some training. Moved out to Sacramento 6 years ago. I'm a general cardiologist, so I kind of specialize in the management of cardiovascular disease. Sometimes there are common conditions that can be managed in the clinic setting, but then I also do a lot of, predominantly work in the hospital, in the ICU, in the what we call the general medical wards, where we manage people who have decompensation or sudden worsening of their cardiovascular disease. And sometimes it's life-threatening, sometimes it's kind of on the way to being life-threatening, but there's a whole spectrum.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've always been really fascinated and curious what a day at your job would be like. Working in that field. I always have 20 questions for you when you come in for training, and the community appreciates and applauds what you guys do.
Oh man, we're happy to do it. And I love the questions, Coach. Every time you come in and I come in and you ask something so stimulating, we talk a lot about different physiology and the experience of people, what it's like to go through this.
Yeah, we really appreciate your opinion, and it's great to have a doctor here to talk to about some of the ideas and things that we experience in the boxing world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is really cool. Bounce some stuff off the old noodle of the doc.
Yeah, I'll share what I know. I'm not gonna overstep, and I won't go into stuff that I don't know. But sure, absolutely, it's fascinating, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Ezra, I know you have a few questions for Doc regarding training. Should we go into some of those? Yeah,
Doc, maybe you can give us a little history on what you've done as far as an athlete, and I know you're a accomplished martial artist yourself, but maybe we can give you a little you can give a little highlight on those things.
Yeah, well, I'll take that from Coach Ezra. You heard it from him, not from me.
Well, you've been with me for a while.
Yeah.
How long have we been training together?
I think we've been really training, man, I think a year and a half.
Yeah,
kind of dabbling for a while, but then got into it with you. Yeah.
Yeah, so you at least have a couple stripes with me. Once you've gotten past the 6-month and 12-month mark, then that takes some dedication for sure.
Yeah, well, you're an amazing coach, and you really have been a very important part of my journey. So I'll take a little step back. About 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, I was in a really bad place. That's where my journey started. So, I had moved out here. I was kind of, starting my career, kind of everything I'd worked for had come to fruition. At that time, I was married. But there's so much that, I really wasn't ready for. And I started to go through these experiences where, my marriage wasn't working. I got divorced. I was very unhappy. My mindset was garbage. I mean, it was just so low. I was very depressed. During that time when I was getting divorced, I discovered that I'm an alcoholic. I had no idea. I drank pretty normally for most of my life. But when times got hard, that's kind of what I turned to without knowing it. Now, I never, I didn't show up to work drunk or anything like that, but on my time off on the weekends, I was just really drinking, and I got into morning drinking. I got all the stuff that really happens later in that disease. And it just kind of snuck up on me, and it was ruining my life. I was ruining my life. It wasn't the alcohol. And I struggled for a while, man. I actually became very depressed. I was walking around with a lot of passive suicidality. And one day, I mean, it was probably almost 4 years ago to the day, it was in the hospital. I was working. I said, I'm going to do it, man. I came up with a plan. I had figured it out. I'd done the math. It was an effective plan. I actually don't share it because sometimes one time I shared it and I heard somebody say, oh, that's a good idea. So
right.
Yeah, I was like, okay, the analytical mind really thinking through it. And I was actually going to do it the next morning. But I was working and I got a call for a sick patient, and I was like, oh, I better go in, right? Because if I don't, somebody's going to try to find me, and then I can't do what I need to do. And, still, even at that point, there was that dedication to taking care of people. And then things happened, and one thing came to after another, and I missed my window to do what I was going to do. And that's, I think, something I've heard for a lot of people who have been in that moment. You just got to get through that, like, whatever it is, hour when you're going to do it. And if you get through that hour, maybe life still sucks, but you don't do it. And I was blessed to have gotten through that hour that I was going to do it. Then I kicked around for a while, and finally, I learned about myself. I learned, okay, maybe I'm an alcoholic. I got some help. I on my own went into rehab, and that helped me. It helped me see what I was dealing with. But when I got out, I got into the recovery community, and then I really found that support. It was kind of like a new tribe for me. Being open about things, being honest about some of my weaknesses and who I am. And then I could start working on them, right? Because if they live in the shadows and I don't know what they are, I don't even have a chance.
Right.
And then fitness jumps in because, well, now I've got, I don't have alcohol. I can't deal with my problems. So I was like, well, maybe let me start running. And, this is when I'm about 300 pounds. I was embarrassed.
What?
Yeah.
You were 300 pounds?
Ooh. Coach, you've seen the picture, right?
Holy shit.
Yeah. So how much weight did you lose?
I lost 150, and I've gained back maybe 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's impressive.
Nice work, Doc.
Very nice work.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Very impressive.
But yeah, that shows the amount of energy you put into it, right?
And
it was more than exercise. You were feeding something else.
That's right, Coach.
Was this happening during your obesity, or was this something that you were struggling with while you were still healthy, quote unquote, and you're how you're looking now? Were you still did that follow over the depression through that journey? It
went hand in hand. One thing I share with people about this is that, like, my physical appearance was kind of a manifestation of my inner world, right? My mental attitude, my spiritual attitude, and that, and I share this with people because anybody who may be struggling with these things, it's doable, and it's not some big grandiose, in 6 months I'm going to be here, in a year I'm going to be here. It's the day to day, right? Let me just do today what I can do. And that's where, like, the running came in for me. I started to run, and I was very embarrassed to go out and, run and jiggle, and, like, everybody's looking at me. I would never have thought to set foot in a MMA gym or a Muay Thai gym. I never crossed my mind. But I started running, and I was like, you know what, man, I'll go to the end of the neighborhood. Okay, after a while I did that. I can go a mile, then 2 miles, then 3. And before you know it, man, it's like 6 months into it, and I'm putting down 5 miles easy. I'm going 5 to 10 on the weekends, and I loved it. Like, I was, Justin, you and I were talking about this, and Coach, you know this real well, that stride phenomenon. When you're in the zone, it's like you just stop because you have something else to do. It's not work anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think that's true for anything like cycling or running. I think every human being can experience that. The problem is, I'll talk from my experience, I hated that first mile. Like, when is it over? When is it over? Now it's like, okay, I know the first mile sucks. It kind of always sucks. But after that mile, man, there's some really good stuff. And then that's when you hit the stride, or at least when I hit the stride and you go. So first mile can be clunky, be whatever, but bam. Do you get that?
I absolutely do. Coach really told me I got into running pretty much when I started training 2.5 years ago with Ezra, about the same time I met Amanda, and she's a big runner, my girlfriend. So it was kind of easy to get into it with the two of them motivating me. And Coach always was like, you got to start off like Rocky. You just, you're slow, it's cold, you're achy, and then by the time you're done, you're at the top of the stairs, And so I kind of always kept that mindset. It's like, it's okay. Start slow, let the joints and the muscles, everything warm up a bit. You're not. I kind of, we both do Strava as well, and Strava I used to do through mountain biking, and it's the death of Strava. Like, if you get too caught up on your numbers and you start hounding yourself on like your speed, don't worry about that. Your first mile, it's gonna suck. It's gonna, like you said, and what are you going for at that point? Coach always likes to say the effort is more important than the numbers.
Nailed it, man.
Yeah, it's just the movement towards something positive. It's doesn't matter the pace. You're headed the right direction. In the small wins that equal big victories. And it's watching yourself. It's watching yourself be successful, even if it's something small. Going out there, even walking. When you get back to the house, you feel something from it. But yeah, I always taught it takes 3 years to grow running legs, and that's why most people hate running, is because when they go do it, their body doesn't like it, and you gotta condition it to do that. And that's hard to do as an adult, but man, if you pay your dues, it's therapeutic, right? It's addicting. Like I would get back from runs and like go again. Like if you didn't have to go to work or anything like that, you string it out, you're in the zone, right?
Yeah.
You can run through the neighborhood like a deer. It's empowering.
And that little break can actually, you're like, oh, I need a little bit more.
I'm feeling good.
We jumped in the river today on the run, and it was like just cooled the body down, and it was like that we finally hit that stride, but it never happened after that 1 mile because it was just so fucking hot. we just dipped into the water, and then it was like soggy feet. Here we go.
I think some people are better for running than others, right? Some of it is genetic. Although I've seen all different types of people be successful at it. But yeah, I think the human machine is made to run.
There is no runner's body type.
Right.
If there's one thing I've noticed as running,
yeah.
I'll see some like pretty heavy set person coming by me, and I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, this guy's cooking.
And that form, like it's you're right. It's not, you can't predict it.
Form's a big one.
I've been to, not to go into it too deep, but I used to take my old roommates to marathons. They used to run these marathons, and I would drop them off and hang out, and then pick them up at the finish line. And then hanging out at the finish line, you watching who's coming through. And yeah, I've seen 60-year-old grandma hitting the pace, and she's put in that 3 years, and she's obviously found something there, getting out there on the trail and putting in those base miles to where her body likes it. She's got the lower leg development. She's got the cadence, and she can just truck along.
Mm-hmm. So through your journey to health, what was your favorite thing about, like what motivated you to get in front of people or to get out and, to start exercising?
I think honestly part of it was there's this weird thing. I had to learn how to deal with what I was feeling because, alcohol numbed it for so long, and I was man, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing. And in some ways, that kind of overcame my anxiety about getting out there. But what I will say is it quickly went away. The joy of running, the joy of movement quickly overcame my anxiety about it. I didn't care at that point. I didn't care if it was hot or whatever. That I got caught on that feeling. And the accomplishment, like you're saying, Coach, it's not months later. It's maybe, even week to week, a few weeks later, wow, I can run a mile. That's not, that's kind of, it was a big deal for me at the time, and that is a big deal, really.
Yeah, you're watching yourself do things that you couldn't do just a few weeks ago. And yeah, that's important. That's important to see yourself do that. It raises self-belief.
Was your alcoholism, how did that play out while you were in that fitness journey? Did you kick alcohol and then get on the fitness journey?
Yeah.
Was that that was your new drug essentially? Because as an addictive personality, I totally get hopping from one thing to the next. So you kind of just choose, luckily, a healthier drug, something to keep your mind occupied with. So you kicked alcohol first.
Totally, yeah.
Was
it was
it
all part of it.
Cold turkey, or did you have help? Was it how did that go?
Yeah, so when I checked into rehab, they detox you, right? They make sure you're okay. And I didn't really, because I wasn't using it every day.
Clinical rehab, like a check-in, like
I went full
checked in, couldn't get out. It was
voluntary, so I could leave it in. But I was smart. I talked to a guy, or I wasn't, but my friend was, who had gone through this, and he's like, Rishi, you should go to this place in Minnesota, because if you go to a place in California, you may jump in a car and go back, right? Mm-hmm. So I flew out there. It was actually kind of right around a little bit into when COVID started, and I kind of just made it in. They didn't close down. They screened us for COVID and all that, but I was in the middle of the country. It'd be hard to get back, and that kind of forced me there. I started running there on the grounds a little bit because we had time, right? We were doing some of the inpatient treatment, a lot of group sessions and things like that, and recovery stuff. But we had time to exercise, and it's in a beautiful place, and so I kind of walked the trails, ran the trails, and started to do that a little bit more.
Cool. Yeah. And so that helped you get into running, and that's where you started your running.
That's where I started. Yeah, and I've been sober now 3 years, so over last drink alcohol was over 3 years ago.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've met so many people over the years in the gym that have similar experience, that they're using exercise instead of drinking or drug use, and people dealing with trauma with this type of training and this kind of distraction, and then I've known people also that are burning the candle on both ends. They're running, they're training, but they're also continue to drink and do alcohol and smoke, and I mean they're going 1,000 miles an hour, and it's tough because the body can't really keep up with either, and then they're doing both, but really they're just trying to scratch that itch,
man.
And the gym's a special place because it's a sanctuary, right? You got a group of like-minded people in here. It's always somewhere you can go, and even if it's for a couple hours, you kind of take yourself away from that other option. And you got to replace it with something, right? Running and training. I think that's a good replacement.
And it's a nice, I'm kind of on this part of my journey, because you nailed it, Justin. They call it cross addiction. So it's not uncommon, right? A lot of people in recovery go into it. But now I'm in the phase of I'm doing a lot of stuff, but I got to find that balance, right? Because that's really, we talk about this all the time, Coach, right? It's all about balance.
Right.
I can hear you saying balance in the Muay Thai coaching, the way you guys say it. I hear that in my head. That's the key, and that's kind of where I'm in my journey now, is finding that balance, right?
Right.
Because I want to go out and I want to run as fast as I can for as long as I can, but the body can't do that for so long, right? The engine gets built, and the more I try to build that cardio engine, the worse it gets, and then my efficiency goes down, and then I'm sitting here why doesn't this feel like it used to? Well, you got to do different types of training, like you do on the bike,
Yeah, I'm all about it. I'm all about the balance, and training hard, but also resting hard, smart recovery, and then the peaks and the valleys. You can't stay at the top of the mountain forever. You got to come back down. You got to rehydrate, and then hopefully we can re-summit again.
Yeah.
It's a good analogy, man.
Well, I was telling the boys, right? I'm on base camp 3. I've been training for years. I'm getting up there. The blood's thicker now, so we're almost ready to get to we're almost ready to Everest.
Yeah, you got a big ride coming up in the mountains, Tahoe region, right? You were saying from Sugar Bowl from Donner to Squaw Valley.
Right. So my family has a cabin at Donner Lake, the infamous Donner Lake, and just such a great gem of California. Right up an hour and a half from Sacramento, and in the wintertime it's great, but in the summertime it's great. Beautiful. And then right now everyone went back to school, so I'm going to go up next weekend, and I'm going to ride from our cabin at Donner Lake to Squaw Valley Ski Resort, and then it's about a 15-mile
Palisades.
What's that?
To be politically correct, it's called the Palisades
at Squaw Valley
now. They actually ditched the name altogether.
Really?
It's no longer
the Olympic, the famous
Man.
Yeah,
site of the Winter Olympics.
You'll know if you haven't been there. You'll notice it. It's all everything is rebranded the Palisades, and they no longer call it Squaw Valley.
Well, I'm gonna check it out.
I've been doing this. Call it Squaw Valley because I've lived here my whole life and I've called it Squaw Valley.
But yeah, I've been doing this ride each year for the last few years, and then it's right up the side of the freeway, right up there on 89, and you're going from about 6,000 to 8,000 foot elevation, and then the air is different up there. You can definitely feel how thin it is, not only in the breathing, but like when you're slicing the air coming back down, it's faster.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to that. I've been training really hard. You guys know I been training hard all year, and then we're ready to attack it. I wish I had a couple more guys to bring up there because it's just safer. Also, you're a little faster if you're pulling together, but maybe next year. Get a bike, guys.
I know.
Get an adult bike. Not some fixed gear gravel hybrid. Get yourself a proper road bike with some shoes and a helmet, and
I thought about
include it into your training regimen.
Yeah, I'm so torn between that because I like the mountain biking. There's the XC. I don't want to go back into downhill biking because I did that for a bit, and that's a recipe for disaster, especially when you like to just fucking send it on you're like, I gotta be faster than my last one regardless of Yeah. So but the XC stuff's fun. Road biking, I feel like it's kind of like running on road for me. Not It's a different mind game. It's a different. It's just a different sport.
Yeah.
And, it really is a totally different sport.
Where we live, the mountain biking and the gravel bike is really popular because of all the terrain that there is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, those guys are out there having a great time. Not that we're not having a great time out on the road bike, but the road bike really becomes this conditioning, nutrition, efficiency training.
Yeah.
And it's as geeked out as you want to get.
I think the fun, not to say that you're not having fun, but it's more like, woo, riding the bike, hitting the jump and stuff. And
yeah, they're out there. There's actually, there guys not getting very good fitness results out there.
Yeah.
But on the road bike, actually in Sacramento, there's a real deep cycling culture, and we're out there racing. On the American River Bike Trail, there's a lot of casual cyclists, but then it's you're out there trying to get faster, and you're pushing it against the other riders that are out there. So it's not just hanging out and having some beers. We're out there loading carbs.
Competition.
We're out there ripping, which makes it fun, unless you have a terrible ego,
Right. Yeah.
If you have a problem getting dropped, you're going to go back to your gravel bike.
That's the thing.
You might get dropped by grandpa out there.
That's like the downhillers, man. They'll literally see you like, somebody, KOM'd the fucking trail, and then they're like, what time's it? I got 2 hours of sunlight left. I'm like riding across town to go hit this trail to go, try to do it again.
Yeah.
And, that's when you, break your, collarbone. So
yeah, there's those guys. But Doc, tell us, you just went to Thailand.
Yes.
Yeah. So you in a group, you guys trained up, headed over. Tell us a little bit about your experience in the old Siam country.
Oh my God, it was incredible. Best trip I've ever taken. I went with the guy who brought me in here, very first time, into the gym, and then one of our old coaches, and we went there. Not fully knowing what to expect. Coach, you gave us a lot of good advice, and your style of training is the same. You follow their old style, which works, right? It's worked for so long. But God, I'm telling you, it was the best. So we got there, and we got to the gym the first day. We wanted to do stuff right away. We got a little pad work in, but it was beautiful. We went there. We planned. We kind of got to bed on time so we could recover. We would do training for a couple hours in the morning, maybe do a run, train again in the evening. Maybe we went after it a little too hard because we were so eager, so you got to kind of balance it out and ramp up, right? Like the mind is always hungrier than the body, man. But it was great. I mean, you could get recovery stuff over there was great. The nutrition was perfect, right? The chickens were from next door. The veggies grew out of the ground, and somebody brought them over from down the street. So the nutrition was on point. There were ice baths there. You could get those Thai massages. You could get stretching in. I mean, it's just designed for peak performance. And everything's on that same street, even little details. They got the laundry there because they know, Coach, man, I sweat through everything, so I'm washing clothes every day.
Yeah. Which gym were you at?
We went to the kind of most well-known one, Tiger.
Yeah, okay.
And there was a couple of smaller gyms on the side. Just for us, that was a known quantity. And it was good. There's lots of great, people from all over. We got to spar with, guys from Europe and Australia, New Zealand, just all over. And some people were living there, right, for months at a time, and they were dialed in. They knew I can do this many hours of training, this much cardio, this much strength. And you need to check out different gyms. But the coaches are amazing. The style over there, they kind of just get it. They know how to give you instructions in a very simple way because there's a language barrier, but they still know how to demonstrate and correct things in thousands of kicks. And it was similar to the training we do here, right? So it'll be rounds of pad work. It'll then, go to the bag and throw, hundreds of knees, throw, hundreds of kicks, a little shadow boxing,
Yeah, you know what? I always took a lot of pride in teaching Muay Thai in America to Americans to where they really know Muay Thai. And then I always would want my students to go to Thailand and to train Muay Thai in Thailand. And when I would send them over, I would want them to know what they were doing in the gyms, how to hit the pads, how to spar, how to behave respectfully. And then that shows really good on American Muay Thai. Also, my students that would go over there, it would just raise their belief in what we were doing here. In America, there's a lot of things that are lost in translation, and then there's people that say, oh, authentic Muay Thai, and this is more Muay Thai than this, and this. But the only way to really know is to go over and see. And yeah, I'm glad you guys had a good experience. And it's a language, right? Even if you don't speak Thai, if you speak Muay Thai, you can function in the gym real well. And the trainers are the trainers are very happy, and you're easy to deal with when you go over there with that basic skill set and kind of knowledge of their culture. Also, Doc, the health. I've had some of my healthiest moments in Thailand as an adult. And I've been in some pretty good shape, but there's only been a few times as an adult where I've had a whole month off of no working and just exercise, sleeping, eating really good organic food for weeks at a time, and got to go through that detox process, even like not watching TV and these type of things that we're exposed to in normal life in our culture. But just the clarity of thought. I mean, the gains in the gym. I mean, we were just destroying the Thai pads and running the 6 miles in the Thai heat in the morning. I mean, we were reaching these physical milestones, but it was the mental clarity. It was the ideas and the different brainstorms that I was having when I was there. And it was kind of like what I was talking about where I'm at right now with cycling is I feel like my fitness is definitely affecting my mental fitness. I think I'm even seeing my vision's even clearer.
You got a healthy body.
Yeah.
Healthy blood flow.
But no bad food. Sleeping twice a day. Like as an American, when do you get that?
Right.
You don't get that a lot of people have never really experienced that. And you have to pay a couple $1,000s to cut that time out for yourself. But man, that's money well spent. If you can do that for yourself, man, get over there. And I was going over there yearly. I was going on these health vacations, man. You'd catch me in Thailand and in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Eating the pineapple.
Yeah, and you can, you got that time to get away from everyone. The life here gives you time to think about things that, you would, while here, you would be overwhelmed and inundated with just all those little things in life that, don't give you that opportunity to really clear your mind and think about things that you can kind of, be that imaginative mindset that you kind of clouded here on your day-to-day.
You're giving your mental effort to so many different things here. You just even your normal 9 to 5, you're required to give most of your energy to that before any of your creative ideas.
Yeah, the dogs need to be fed, and then the fucking, trash needs to be taken out, and the shower needs to be clean.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
But in Thailand, things are a little cheaper. Get that forehand massage.
Right. So you guys are both pretty accomplished runners, and there's the ongoing debate about fighters doing road work for their conditioning. There's a group of new school coaches that believe that fighters, combat sport athletes, don't need to do road work anymore, and that this type of conditioning can be replaced by different methods. And I always thought that was interesting. I'm definitely on the old school side of that. What do you guys think?
Well, let's hear the medical profession side. Like, what do you and then I'm just a amateur fighter. So what do you think on like on like health wise? So is there a do you think that injury prone people, if you're not a runner and you're getting into this sport later on, do you think that impacting the body through running and all the the things that the knee impact, all the injuries that you could get into, do you think that that's something you should not do and then do box jumps and other high intensity training that can build your cardio over running? Do you think, as in the medical profession, that one's safer than the other? I guess that's the argument, right? Is one safer than the other? Like, because what else is it besides that you're fucking too lazy or too much of a bitch to just run, and your like shins hurt, your feet hurt. Yeah, it all hurts, but that's part of fighting, really.
So in boxing, why do we run? What does running do for the fighting athlete? So lower leg development, and I'm not just talking about calves. I'm talking about ankle stiffness. I'm talking about foot stiffness, and then that being directly related to the sport you're playing. Every technique that you launch in boxing starts with those muscles, those bones, and those parts of the lower leg part of the body. Every time you go running, you're doing tens of thousands of impacts on those joints, and that is conditioning the body to get harder. There's no secret to how that works. The other thing is weight loss. And you, my friend, had just had an experience with having to do a weigh-in. And fighters for a long time have used running to keep the unnecessary weight off of their body, because these guys need to be like horse jockeys. They need to be in their weight class. So running is a way to boost metabolism and to keep the body small so that they can fight in the right weight class. That's a huge determining factor of you doing well at a high level in fighting sports. You need to be at the right weight. The other thing is climatizing, training for different types of temperature, whether that be cold or hot, usually hot, and then altitude, obviously, and we just experienced that as well. With you can train your blood to perform better in certain situations, and I mean, it's pretty obvious to see those benefits. And even running inside your gym on the treadmill, you want to avoid that, because you're losing out on some of those valuable things having to do with temperature and that. The other thing is kind of the animalistic. The human animal should be able to run. As an athlete, if you're trying to be a boxer or a kickboxer or an MMA athlete, this is one of the most difficult sports you're trying to play. If you're having trouble, if a 3-mile run is tiring you out, you're probably in the wrong sport. Mm-hmm. And I hate when guys say they don't have enough time, because a 3-mile run for an intermediate athlete is going to take you like 25 minutes. Yeah. And dudes are sitting here messing around for 25 minutes. And then Yeah, I mean, if you just try it, like just listen to the coach, right?
It takes like 10-minute shits.
Yeah.
Hurry that up and go run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
But
that David Goggins things where I'm just staring at my shoes for 20 minutes before I put them on. Well, like if you put them on and just start the workout, you'll be done.
Yeah, but it's not hard too. It's the mentality. You can see the mentality towards the work, and the hard, hungry workers go out and crush that. And yeah, we all have our gripes with how much you have to do it. It's just like eating eggs all the time. After a while, you're just like, oh, eggs. But yeah,
just add more butter.
Yeah, we still eat them. Yeah, but yeah, and then also if you just try it, just as an experiment, like a lot of the new school guys that are arguing against it, and they have their new program that they're trying to sell. I bet you they haven't tried the old school way.
That's it.
They
That's
haven't
really
tried
what
it.
it's saying, right?
The old school way. And then, man, what that does to you, like if you run and then you go into the gym and train, the amount of calories you burn and the fitness level you reach is a different level. And like Thailand, yeah, we would do the 6-mile run, and then we would come in and do the 40 minutes on the pads. And the first 2 weeks suck, but then our bodies reacted. We were reactive, and then we adapted, and then we were in super shape, you know, with the trainers in the morning would be like, oh no. Like when we first got to the camp, they were like, we were going to tire these guys out. They would try to break us, and they would. But after 2 weeks of running and hitting the pads, I could do like 7 rounds at full blast, you know, and it just feels great. It works, you know, but yeah, you got to go, you got to pay your dues.
So what do you think about running versus
I think it would be interesting to see like the data on it, like the exercise physiology studies as that emerges. You know, the way I'll be on the old school camp with you, Coach. I mean, that's what I believe in, and it's what worked for me. There's a lot of value in what you get and how your body adapts when you run, right? And it can be overdone like I've done in the past. So it's not necessarily that you just need to go and crush it. It's like intelligent road work, right? What are you doing that day, you know? And that 3-mile run is a great kind of cutoff. Like get to that point first, and then your pad work is going to be better because you can last longer. You're going to do in one session what would have taken you 2 before, right? Because you just have the ability to continue to train. So I think it's a foundational component. But I also suspect that there's more to it. I think there's adaptation that occurs in the cardiovascular system, or there is for sure. And what I like to think about, without overdoing anything, is that if you get into these right zones and you get your body used to training at a certain level, regardless of the activity, you have the cardio for it, right? So at least a foundational level. Then it gets specified for, high intensity, 3 rounds, 5 rounds, whatever you're fighting, man. You get that ability to go and pull back and recover quickly in between rounds. So I think you can get some of that foundational component from running. The other somebody explained this to me really well recently, and I love the way of thinking about this. So when we're doing something, like if you're looking for strength gains or speed gains, that's good and that's important to have goals. But he describes it as what you're really looking for is to make your body more adaptable, right? And Coach, we've had discussions like this where the human body is amazing. And I think that the reason we're in the position we're in amongst all animals is not just our intelligence, but it's our ability to adapt. We can survive and thrive in circumstances that other animals don't have the capacity to do, right? So that's why we're running it. And I think we should lean into that. So like you're saying, do the experiment, right? Go out and see what happens when you add running in test that theory well. Don't just say, oh, it didn't work, I didn't like it. If you're going to run the experiment, this is the science side coming in. If you're going to test the hypothesis, run the experiment. Don't run the experiment half-assed and then say the outcome was wrong. Do it the right way and see. Maybe it isn't for everybody, but I think everybody should try that. And same with nutrition and all those other things. One diet, one nutrition plan is not going to be for everybody, but try the basics, right? The basics are out there. Whether it's carnivore, whether it's keto, whether it's intermittent fasting, whether it's just a normal eat every 4 hours type or 3 times a day, experiment with it, see what the results are. And I almost wonder sometimes if we're more afraid of experimenting with things than we are about actually doing them. Like, oh man, like this is easy, I like it, let me do it. But if you really want to, like you're saying, take it to the next level, run the experiment, man, see what happens.
Yeah, I think the idea of putting like the theory to test is it's fun. You come up with this idea and you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it that way. But then the execution's always the hard part, and then people end up giving up. But
running's very technical too. Like a lot of people just approach it wrong. And it's like anything else. But in this generation, you can research. There's so much information out there, and there's so many people you can relate your own situation to.
Yeah, there's so much information on YouTube.
Right.
Coaching skill level. I mean, shit, you could.
But the way you can measure aerobic capacity from, and it can be running, but it could be on the rower or the bike. As an athlete, you can train your aerobic capacity. And my athletes, especially the last few camps, a lot of the key to the strategy we approached these fights with was based on conditioning. I was conditioning their motors for these 10-minute, I call it a 10-minute contest. So the amount of bag work they're doing, the amount of running they're doing, it's all geared towards that. And then a lot of this stuff I'm studying on the bike, is training yourself for these certain efforts. And then conditioning your blood, your body to be able to perform at a high level for this length of time. That's why we never ran more than 6 miles, right? Because we were always doing it for fighting. Even if we could run longer than that, we would customize it. We would tailor it to what we were using it for.
Yeah, that 30-minute effort that coach has been talking about to up that. I always have been or have recently been wanting to stretch the miles, and he's saying, put more effort on the 30-minute, and you consolidate your time and
right.
give more max effort in that, because you're only fighting for what is it, 9 minutes? I guess it's
I also do an
11
experiment. I teach I give the experiment lecture a lot in the gym, and we have some high-level athletes, wrestlers, MMA fighters, my boxers in here, and then we have these Aerodyne bikes. Most gyms have an Aerodyne bike, and it's a great way to bring the heart rate up, but it has a generic power meter on it, so you can look at the wattage you're putting out. And I'll tell the young athlete, I'll say, okay, see how long you can maintain 300 watts for. And then, okay, 2 minutes, okay, 3 minutes, strong, over 5 minutes, really good, And then these are guys that lift weights, these guys that run, even young athletes too, 18, 19 years old. These guys will be broken in like 90 seconds.
It's fucking
they're lifting
hard.
weights.
It's so hard.
But their aerobic capacity is limited, and none of these guys are running or doing anything serious. If they do run, they're just kind of flirting with it. But I'll show them, and then I'll tell them I can hold that for an hour.
And then it's 400 watt effort.
Oh yeah.
Or
Well,
what is it, 450?
Yeah, I can hold that for a while.
He does. I don't know. He did like some. What is the intermittent one that you do? That like Tabata of like 5 minute on, a minute off, or something like that.
Man.
Yeah, I can hold 400 watts for a while, and then but like an all-out sprint, like a 30-second sprint, you're doing like 600 to 1200 watts.
It's the loudest thing in this room.
Yeah,
he gets on that. And
but I'm big, so like. The wattage isn't a thing, right? When you're bigger, it's easier to put it out. You got more weight.
He's about to fly the fuck away on this thing.
Yeah, like, go break the bike, man.
But we always, it was just running was just a warm up. Like it's not hard, And then these young athletes, I'm just trying to change their perspective on it. And like, well, first of all, here's your fitness. Here's where you are compared to other athletes. You're a beginner runner. Work on that. Just like your pull-ups or anything else, that's something you should be wanting to develop as a martial artist through your career. And then if you're really serious about martial arts, you're looking for things to improve on, because martial arts is about improving yourself. So let's look at your VO2 max. Let's look at your core strength. Let's look at your leg. Let's look at your left kick. Let's look at your right. There are all these little areas that you can improve your skill, and then even running the skill, like your stride and your posture. Yeah, if you're serious about it, running's one of the I think, one of the most important conditioning exercises outside of the gym. Mm-hmm. And it's just old school cool, like skipping rope. Like, it's hardcore, it's raw, it's like primal man. I will run from here to Auburn, and I'll just give me a glass of water.
Well, here's a good way to look at it. If someone's chasing you, someone wants to attack you, hurt you, and all you got to do is turn around and start start running, and you realize this guy doesn't have the capacity to fucking follow me.
And just wait till he's tired.
And you only need to be 10 feet away from this guy, so he's just trying to reach, and you're like, I'm just that much faster, and then we'll see how far you can follow me.
Just wait till he's gassed, and then turn around and just.
And then you really have the, you can either just keep running or you can turn around and gas his ass out,
Well, yeah, what do they say with the bears, right? Like, you don't have to be faster than the bear, you just have to be faster than the next guy.
Yeah.
So, Doc, over the years, I've trained a lot of different high-level athletes, not martial artists, but people that would try martial arts from other sports. And we've had marathon runners, endurance marathon runners, really, really conditioned athletes. But then you put them in a fighting situation and they're gassed. It just completely tires them out. So these people can run 50 miles, but then when the stress and situation is put on their mind and body, it cracks them. And then I think that kind of ties into what we were talking about with these modern trainers, and their argument being, well, you were running your whole camp, but then during your 3-round amateur fight, you still got gassed. And we always thought that was due to how their body was reacting to the fighting situation, not their lack of conditioning, but their body dumping adrenaline and kind of in this attack state that they're not used to being in. What do you think about that?
I think there's a lot of wisdom to that. This kind of ties into and I should really qualify. I'm not an expert in some of these physiologic concepts. I just kind of research them a little bit from my perspective. But, I almost wonder about how we handle our stress hormones, our stress cascade. So the easiest thing to think about is adrenaline, right? And if you look at adrenaline, there are numerous subtypes. It's not just one type of adrenaline, and there's different adrenaline receptors. So what do I employ? Like, how does my body change when I start to run? The first thing that happens is the early stage is something called parasympathetic withdrawal. So the vagal tone, the thing that they're like the brakes, right? So you step off the brakes before you hit the gas. Adrenaline is the gas. You don't want to be shooting off a lot of adrenaline while you're still on the brakes. First thing that happens. And that happens anytime you do any movement. You kind of take the brakes off so that the heart can start to naturally beat faster. And then the adrenaline takes it to the next level. So there's like physiologic adrenaline, right? And when you're running or when you're doing a sport you may be comfortable with, you may be releasing a certain type of adrenaline in certain quantities. But what happens when now you're introducing fear, when you're introducing uncertainty? Are you potentially releasing a different subtype of adrenaline? I don't actually know the answer to that, but certainly how we're handling that perceived threat experience is different, because when you're running and you're comfortable, you don't have that perceived threat experience. So what's happening biologically or physiologically is different. And then you're right, because now maybe your heart rate is shooting up higher than what your body actually needs. Your physiologic determinants are not just based on the activity that you're doing, they're based on emotional, mental, or neurologic responses, and you're not used to that, so you're gassed out a lot earlier.
Yeah, we're always trying to condition our boxers to be used to a stressful situation. We do sparring, but we also try to do some hard sparring. And obviously we do the tournaments and the smokers so that the athlete can kind of get used to that dangerous situation. And I believe the more that you're in it, the more you can work on yourself. You can kind of see yourself. It's another experiment. And then the next time you can go in, you can try to adapt a little bit calmer. I experienced that a lot in racing the bike. When I know a race is going to happen, you get that adrenaline pump, and then you'll be tired early, like way earlier than you should be, just because you're excited. And then you have to really work on, you have to recondition your response to kind of have this stoic, almost like cyborg type response. And then it's interesting because some of our fighters, naturally their personality, they have like a very cool RoboCop demeanor, like Julian, one of our young teenage athletes. Julian is just seemingly like really emotionless and calm, and he's just able to function so well in the fire there. And I mean, I talked to the team about it, but he just kind of brings that naturally. So it's interesting. Other guys are gassed in the locker room. You know, they're so amped. They haven't slept all week. So, but yeah, I think it's something that you can work on. That you can kind of recondition your body from experience. You're not going to die.
It's only 9 minutes.
Well, I think that's how martial arts, at least for me, has translated into just my regular life. I was listening to something from a researcher at Stanford about, how we view stress. And it's not like, stress isn't always something to run from, or it's not always something to remove from our lives, right? Like, we grow through stress, and there's a mentality of, and again, it's not always, sometimes things are just stressful and they suck and you need to get away from them. But it's not simply, do I fight it and get away from it or not? Sometimes it's how do I stay in that stress zone, because that's where I'm going to learn something. I grow in that stress zone. So, these hormones, these stress responses, which is way more complicated than just the chemistry of it. How do I stay present in those moments? Because that's where the growth really happens. Like that additional, sticking around for 30 seconds longer, 1 second longer, staying on the bike, a little bit longer, right? That's where it all happens.
It's pretty amazing how much stress the body can take. I mean, everyone's different, but I've had a few different changes in my professional life to where I was working long hours, and then there was times that I wasn't working as much. And then when I was working the long hours, I got used to it. I could get so much done in a day, like 16-hour shifts or whatever. And then you step away from it, and then, man, you don't know how
you did it.
Yeah, like how was I even doing it? But just my capacity grew. I conditioned myself to handle all of it. Not that it was healthy. I knew I only had to do it for a year or two, so that helped. But I think a lot of people, they just go, they're overstressed. They never get that relief from it. You just made your debut.
Yeah.
We did the WFC fights up in South Lake. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that was, there's so much to talk about. Man, where do I begin?
Well, first of all, you made your debut at Caesar's Palace. I mean, I know it's Bally's now, but that's the famous Caesar's Palace ballroom, and it's set up the same way. When I walked in there, it brought back so many memories. I've been going to fights there since the 90s. I saw Fernando Vargas there. I saw Dennis Alexio there. So walking in, I was just like, wow, to make your debut there.
It's a huge honor.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely a huge honor to be at such an iconic place to do a Muay Thai debut under, it's my debut, so I don't know any other organizations besides the PKB, but this was a great one. I mean, they put us up in the hotel. We were out-of-towners. They took really good care of us. We had a blast. The team came up. We had Berto and Brian fight on the card with me, and we had Tyler come up and help ringside with you, which was really cool. And Becca was in the back as our psychologist, just helping us out mentally.
I know we were the out-of-town team, we were the away team, but it really felt like we were local.
Well, I mean, technically
it's right in our backyard.
No, that's our county. I mean, El Dorado County is where I, was technically, raised, and we live in Placer County, so
yeah, and just
that's our fucking area, man.
I just know that strip. I just been going up there, that was a big part of the fight scene in the 90s and 2000s. Like, it's actually, it's still nice, but it's not like it used to be. The Caesar's Palace, they used to have HBO fights up there. And yeah, going back to the old strip, I felt right at home.
Yeah, it's a cool place. I've been going up there to snowboard at Sierra Tahoe since I was a kid, and Heavenly since like '97. So
yeah. They have the old ballroom mafia seating.
That
with
was
the booths.
So cool.
Yeah, it was like a movie.
Low lit, like candle lit, like almost, and they had like these like little half moon booths, and multi-tiered, but it was really intimate.
Like Sinatra probably sang there,
Definitely had a Sinatra feel to it.
That's awesome.
You had, it was so cool. And the ring was, it wasn't too far for even the people, sitting in the back. I had 25 or so people from my family, friends and family come up, which was really cool. I didn't even expect anybody to come up because it was, it's a far drive. It was an expensive weekend to go up. So, I thank everybody for coming up and supporting for the event. And so it was loud. It was loud when I walked in. That was cool. Being backstage, having your hands wrapped up for the first time with, professionally, and just getting all the real fighter treatment was really, really cool and a great experience. And the fact that I got to just demonstrate in a ring. It's different when you're on a mat. At least for me mentally, I didn't feel like the mats give you that real official fight. So being in the ring under the lights, regardless if it's in Old Caesar's Palace or if it's at Track 7, being in the ring's cool. It just looks so much cooler on the photos.
Yeah, so you got to fight at Caesar's Palace for your debut, but also you got to fight with no headgear on your debut, which was special. It was interesting going out of state, comparing how Nevada runs things to California, especially as someone that is in the promotional side of things now. It's interesting seeing the rules and regulations, and I think it was really cool that you got to make your debut with no headgear.
And got to throw elbows.
Yeah, and then that one jumping downward elbow.
Yeah.
Is that even legal? I don't know. They didn't say anything.
They didn't.
But in California, it's definitely not. But yeah, that was a really cool matchup. You fought Alan Fong out of Zach Bunel's gym. And me and Zach, we're kind of related through the Sitmonchai gym in Thailand. Both of us and our students have gone back and forth there for years. So that was kind of cool, kind of a full circle. Us as trainers and then our students fighting each other.
Yeah, it was nice to know that I was going to be fighting an opponent that was trained through traditional Muay Thai. That
right.
You knew the coach, Willie Wimple. Also I guess they're big training partners and stuff. So it's nice to know that who you're fighting is trained in what your style is that you're going to compete in. A lot of times you're going to find now with the mix of with MMA so popular, you're going to get an MMA guy wanting to come into a Muay Thai event, or just get some experience, or want to just try something new, which is all. I think it's great, but their style is different, and you're going to be looking at a guy likely running around a little bit more or whatever it may be. But I think it was great to have Alan as a Muay Thai martial artist.
Yeah, I agree. That definitely changes the situation, and when both guys know how to play the Muay Thai game, then it can be a lot more entertaining.
Yeah,
and just. It's a great show for the crowd. It was interesting because they had kickboxing, they had MMA, and they had Muay Thai, kind of like ONE FC on the show. And so the crowd there was kind of divided between the different disciplines. Mm-hmm. I noticed that our gym was the only gym that sealed the ring and did some of the ring ritual white crew. And then you just hear, little comments. Some people like it, some people don't. But you guys definitely cast a spell on the room.
We got some shit for that, didn't we?
Yeah, just because even though it was a short version that we did, I guess their show, they don't embrace that part of the culture as much. And then that's what you're seeing with modern Muay Thai, is some places really push for that and some places not as much.
Yeah.
I think it's cool as long as it doesn't go really long. but that kind of brings some flavor to the show. But to each their own, you know.
Yeah, I think it was an honor to be able to do something like that. And you know, I'm not Thai, obviously.
Right.
I got American flags on my chest, and I'm, you know, walking out to some Mexican banda, you know.
Yeah, but as the trainer and the manager, I felt like, well, there's 10 fights on the card. That's not that many. The fights are going fast. There's knockouts. Like,
yeah, put some flavor into it.
Yeah, and then also you guys did a great White Crew where it was very entertaining and definitely had an effect. But also I believe in that part of the fight. Like it kind of stalls the opponent, and the fighter can kind of get a feel for the space that the fight's about to happen in. And
especially
you can feel the energy of the space before you let them fly.
Being in the red corner and having the second coming out last,
yes,
and then sealing the ring while everybody's kind of just like, what's going on?
And we're sealing the ring at Caesar's Palace. Let's
yeah,
go. I mean,
baby,
come
what's
on.
up?
Yes, I was like, well, even if they don't like it, I gotta put my foot down here. You know, we're gonna put on a show here, and we did. Brian's fight was close, but yeah, the performance overall was super strong.
Very strong. It was fun.
Congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and congrats to you. And thank you for, you know, I mean, you got two students here that, you know, and without even getting into my story, but man, I know you have been a huge impact on my life in the last 2+ years that I've been training with you, and it's been a tough road for me, you know, on my own personal side, but, you know, coming in here and you know, having you as a mentor and a coach and pushing me to where I am now, you know, I owe you a lot of thanks, and, you know, I'm grateful for everything that, you know, you showing up for us. You know, it's a lot to have that much passion. You don't find that many people who are passionate and good teachers. Sometimes teaching is just a job, and it's something that pays the bills. But to be here with the passion day after day, and still that fire is not dimmed, you know, it's fucking fascinating at how well you can keep that going. And it, now the 5:30 class and the 6:30 class, like you know, I'm watching. I feel like I'm possibly even just watching like a whole new Ezra and a progression on your end that's maybe just feeding off onto all of us, because, you know, there's some big things coming your way with, you know, A1 and you know, the promotions for Muay Thai on the A1 Muay Thai, and, you know, who even knows where that's going to lead and what that's going to look like for Sacramento. And I think that's very exciting to be a part of. And thank you.
Yeah, man, of course. And yeah, you know, I think that's just my character. Like, you've known me in the last few years, but I've been always really, really passionate. But I think some of the things that has happened in the last season of my life has really brought me to where and who I am. And I believe that I'm doing my best work right now. I've built some really good teams and helped lead different groups. But right now, it's the biggest, most passionate group. It's not just a few people, it's everyone kind of pushing. And I'm always saying to match my energy, and then you guys definitely do that. You see it, you know, I show up here and yeah, I'm crazy, but then there's 30 of you guys, you know, and we just crush it. We just crush it every day. But yeah, I'm excited for the future. And then I just really feel blessed at the opportunities that are coming my way. And then I'm just like, yeah, give me the mic. You know, I feel like all of it's just an opportunity, and then I'm at the right age for it. Like, I'm the leader, you know, and I always have been, but now I think I'm really at the prime age for it. Yeah, it's like all the past experience, you know, gets you ready for right now.
Yeah. Well, it's showing, and it's coming to fruition. All that hard work, man. It's cool to see it. And this is a sweet gym. You know, this is James and Pam and the other coaches, the kids here, the teenage mafia, the adults. I think it's a nice mix of people. We're not a shirts off, powerhouse kind of gym. We're more of kind of more of a family gym, but I honestly love that because we got killers in here.
Yeah,
but
well,
we have fathers and mothers, and
we do.
That's the coolest thing. That's like a tribe, man. Like this is where you can like eat. You can get your cardiovascular operations and shit, and then you can learn how to kick someone's ass.
But yeah, UFC Rockland is one of the best gyms that I've seen, if not the best. And I've been in the industry for a long time. But yeah, the team that we have here, the coaches, the group of students, the facility. Yeah, it's exciting to be a part of. For
They
sure.
should make a show about this. Like, I would watch you two guys on that show. That'd be sick. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Who knows what's going to come.
I'm just saying, man. Put it out there.
Yeah. Well, we're starting with, episode 2 again. Because episode 1 was a little rusty.
Yeah,
This is episode 1.2.
So what's up with this shirt?
Oh, yeah,
So Team Alpha Muay Thai. So Team Alpha Muay Thai, this is it's our team highlighting the Muay Thai program that we've built here in the last 2 years. It's also showing the relationship to Uriah and Uriah's ownership in the gym. And then, we're looking to grow Team Alpha Muay Thai. We have a really good group of students, almost 30 fighters, teenagers and adults competing at different levels. And that's just really exciting for the future. And then it's just going to continue. The young ones are feeding off the veterans like Tyler Lloyd and Incho Timoteo. Even yourself, that debut that you had no business being that technical. For being 2 years into the sport, even the showmanship in between rounds, it's just like, but man, you've just absorbed the culture, and it's really cool to see. And our young guys have it too. The teenagers, even at the PKBs, they really are having a great time performing really good, strong Muay Thai out there.
That last PKB was, I was in tears after Christian, and then right across the you just like hightail it right across the mat.
Man, you had us in some tough matchups.
What's that?
You had us in some tough matchups. About 3 of our matchups, we were underdogs for sure.
Oh, hell yeah. Dude, Julian. I
was working the corner like Rocky Balboa. I was like Mick in the corner. I was like, round 3, Rock, you got this. You want this, you got to win this round.
These kids were like...
The kids were hurt in the first round,
Yeah.
Remember, Julian's kid had 20 some odd fights.
And 1 amateur.
Yeah.
And Christian's guy, hurt him too. And he was a little, he had to get his gears greased up after round 1. He was looking real timid. But, they
were ready.
They came back. They both got their round 3s, which doesn't always happen. So that was cool.
Those boys are itching to fight again. They're always like, Coach, when's the next fight? Good. I'm like, do your homework.
Nah.
But they just love it. It's cool to see. We were the same way.
Yeah.
We were the same way. But so we got a few different events coming up in the next month or so as far as NorCal Muay Thai is concerned. Rising Stars is on September the 2nd. Mm-hmm. And then
Track 7 Brewery.
Track 7 in is it in Natomas?
Yeah, Natomas.
Yeah, that looks like a really nice venue. And then Lino from Main Event Muay Thai is putting on that show, always puts on a really good traditional Muay Thai show featuring all the local fighters. Our fighter, Brian Wen, will be on that card. And then Brian just fought the other weekend in Tahoe, so he's warmed up and ready to go. The very next day, that Sunday, is the IKF PKB. It's on a Sunday, and that's always at the 4 Points Sheridan. in Sacramento. So those are the smoker level events for the young athletes. So that's a pretty busy weekend for Muay Thai people. You know, that's all weekend for some of those people.
Get out and go see some fights.
Yeah. Now the very next weekend is A1 Muay Thai, and that's at the Doubletree Hotel by Arden Fair Mall in Sacramento. So the very next weekend, that event's happening. That has a really good main event. The main event on that will feature two of the area's strongest athletes at that weight. Actually, not this area. Two of the strongest athletes in the country at that weight. One is Ebreeze from Toro Z Muay Thai, and looking forward to that one. The other show is the Legends Show, and that's a little later. That's October 21st, and that's Crew Sam's show in San Francisco. Always puts on a really good show down there at the Scottish Heritage Center. Maybe put you on that show.
Yeah, I'm ready to go again.
Yeah, too bad we can't get you guys going on those September cards, but those things fill up pretty fast. They want fighters to commit to those things a couple months in advance, but you never know. Stay ready.
Yeah, if anybody's dropping out on 142, let's go.
So yeah, what we're seeing now is we're seeing several different Muay Thai promotions, and it's kind of impacting the area to where they're double booking these shows, having more than one show on the same weekend, and that's just something that's got to evolve. You don't want to ask the Muay Thai community to have to go to all these shows in the same week. If you spread them out a little bit smarter, then you can get these people where you can go see all of these events. Also, it gives the fighters a chance to do more than one of these cards. But yeah, it's exciting to see multiple investors in the sport of Muay Thai. The sport is growing again. Once COVID happened, there was no shows. You had to go out of state, and even those were crazy. So everyone's getting into it, and you see the huge platforms with ONE FC helping to really fuel that. They have kickboxing, they have Muay Thai, and they have the superstars of Muay Thai being featured. So that's just going to feed into the youth wanting to do it. And there has to be feeder shows. There has to be the grassroots level show, and then there has to be the Pro-Am show, and then we want to build these athletes and then have more boxers like Eddie Abasolo doing ONE FC. And our country has more level fighters that could reach that level. And I think we're headed in the right direction as far as that goes.
One more thing before I think we've concluded most of the things on our list. I know we wanted to talk about that really badass kick that Taiwan Chai threw. And the guy went to block it, and I believe it was a right back kick, but he left switch kick.
Yeah, Taiwan Chai's lefty.
Okay, all right. I feel like I should know that.
Yeah.
But so he threw his power back leg kick, and the guy went to block it, which some organizations are saying is not a point, and this guy went to block it and broke his arm.
Hold on.
We'll wrap this up.
Damn it, right at the peak.
He's like, the cotton mouth is thick. I know, I could hear it like a couple of minutes ago. I was like, it's kicking in, baby.
When you start fucking tinkering with it. People have problems in us a lot that they'll do when they talk because they just can't say everything at once.
Yeah.
And then later they'll watch it and go, God damn, my brain is so scattered.
Yeah. Is that me?
No. You're doing just fine.
Yeah.
Conversations roll good.
I could just tell.
Somebody's by themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Get real lost.
Choke up and just say they just couldn't say.
Talking by yourself's a skill, man. That Tim Dillon podcast, that guy's he's just
good at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, run it back.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll even be able to
ONE FC.
redeem myself on the fact that I didn't know that. That much nice. Okay, so I wanted to ask you about the Taiwan Chai kick and the broken arm. I know there's been some, we've talked about in class, and then you even brought up in the rules meeting at the last PKB that we were at about kick to the arms and blocking and that not being a point. But it's hard to say that's not a point when Taiwan Chai just broke someone's arm. Can you touch on that a little bit and let us know your thoughts on that?
Right. So Taiwan Chai, you see him kicking that spot on purpose. You see him on purpose aiming for that spot on the arm. And then the way he broke that guy's arm, we've seen him do that before. And is a pretty common injury you see in Muay Thai. And then, it's just common knowledge that the leg bone can crack the arm bones, the upper arm bone and the lower arm bones. So based on the scoring in Muay Thai, if you kick the arms with the shin, if it's not answered back by equally damaging blow, then that's a point.
Mm-hmm.
And then in our area, there's been some confusion over, are they blocking that kick or are they taking punishment?
Yeah.
And then there's been some bad decisions where the one kickboxer is targeting the arms and scoring time after time, and then loses on the cards, and the judges are looking at it as if he's blocking those shots. It was a great example. You saw Taiwan Chai and what he did there, and you see why the Thais score it like that.
Yeah.
Also, if you just take the pads off, if you don't do light sparring, if you take the pads off and you actually kick each other like full-grown adults, you'll see that does a lot of damage. It's not as damaging as kicking underneath the arm or on the neck or something like that, but it still will hurt you a lot. Also, it's what happens after you get kicked several times.
Multiple times,
and then
throughout the whole fight, you're taking that.
Your shields are getting beaten down,
right?
And then what are you going to do?
Your arms are heavy. You can't throw that jab or that that cross as well.
Yeah,
it's a factor. Getting kicked in that area for sure.
Yeah, it's just damaging too. And when you're looking at Muay Thai scoring, a lot of times try to look at it as what weapons are doing more damage.
Mm-hmm.
If you land a couple pitter-pat punches with the leather gloves, and then the dude comes through and smashes you with an elbow on the forehead, the one elbow scores higher than all those little pitter-pat punches.
Right.
But yeah, the kick is to be respected. I love seeing the high-level guys on display in 1FC because we're getting to see some of the Thai masters, Sita Chai, Taiwan Chai, Superbon, and then you have these representatives of Thai Muay Thai, and they really have bone-breaking kicks, not just to the arms, but you saw Taiwan Chai in his last fight blow that guy's knee out with that low kick, and that was just the last fight.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, and guys just blasting each other too, like Liam Harrison. He got his leg blasted too.
Yeah, he got messed up.
Which might have been an older injury, but a lot of guys that don't respect a kick, they just have never been around the level. They've never felt it. I was around it early, and that helped me to pick kickboxing. Yeah. Some neighborhoods are like, oh, kicks are weak. Kicks are weak or blah, 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 whatever. But they've never
Take one to the IT band, man.
They've never seen proper kicks.
It'll change your mind.
To me, sparring one day, man, I was coming in a lot, and that took a while, man.
Yeah, the IT band is it's no joke. You hit somebody in that outside thigh, upper knee area, or lower knee area.
So Taiwan Chai is a part of this group of boxers. So I've always had this thing where I can pick talent. We'll watch the stadium fighters, and I mean they're all talented, but I've been able to pick kind of like a baseball scout, or when you watch athletes or you watch.
If you want to gamble on Muay Thai, basically what he's getting at.
Even in the gym, when you look around and you see the young athletes, you can see oh, he has potential. Oh, he has the hand speed or good balance, something like that. And then Taiwan Chai is one of these athletes that I've been watching for a while. I've known about him since he was a stadium fighter. And there's actually 3 left-handed femur style boxers that I've been watching. And then the boxers that I watch, you guys as my students can't help but to hear about it, you know, and hopefully start watching them too. But yeah, it was Tawan Chai, Kong Thorani, and Ritwata. Tawan Chai, he's from Sun Chai's gym. Kong Thorani is from Sorsamai. And then Ritwata has moved around a couple different times, but he's a OG high-level lefty. And then, I don't know, I always try to fight like those guys. Although I'm not left-handed, you know, we do a lot of femur style, strong kicking. A lot of times here in California, we're dealing with brawling styles, so we kind of use like a bull matador style. We're intercepting these guys. We're smothering these guys as they come forward with their wild attempts at scoring.
It's a good style.
Yeah, the bull matador style.
Love
and then
it.
it doubles the impact, right? They're coming to you, so.
Meet it. Well, hey guys, it's almost 8 o'clock. Say we wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right, that'll be the conclusion of episode 2 of Muay TV. Thank you, Doc Rishi. Thank you, Ezra.
Yeah.
And of course, Chris, Media Apex in the back.
On the ones and twos. Yeah.
Jamie Vernon, watch the fuck out. Over and out.